God, doesn't this kid ever stop? His fingers must get sore.
In the short documentary category, the winner is Gregory Smith of Algonquin College for Camping Out in Ottawa.
We're just trying to change people's perceptions of what homelessness is about. People think it's like old wino men digging in garbage, and that's not what it is about anymore.
And finally, a double prize winner for the best long documentary and the illustrious Chairman's Award. The winner is James Henry.
While all of this was going on, oh where had Snow White gone? She'd found it easy, being pretty, to hitch a ride into the city, and there she'd got a job unpaid as general cook and parlour maid with 7 funny little men, each one not more than 3'10", ex-horse race jockeys, all of them. These 7 dwarfs, though awfully nice, were guilty of one shocking vice. They squandered all of their resources at the racetrack backing horses. When they hadn't backed a winner, none of them got any dinner. One evening, Snow White said, "Look here, I think I've got a great idea. Just leave it all to me, okay? And no more gambling till I say." That very night, at eventide, young Snow White hitched another ride, and then, when it was very late, she slipped in through the palace gate. The king was in his counting house, counting out his money. The queen was in the parlour, eating bread and honey. The footman and the servants slept, so no one saw her.
This is TVO, broadcasting on La Chaîne.
Hello, welcome to Human Edge. I'm Ian Brown. The inspiration for tonight's documentary, a new film from Britain called 7 Up South Africa, was obviously Michael Apted's famous series, 7 Up to 28 Up. The idea behind the original series was very simple. Record the attitudes of 7-year-old children, then see if they changed every 7 years. The subjects of tonight's film are all 7 years old. They hail from every corner of South African society. Blacks, whites, Asians, from the settlements of Johannesburg to the farms of northern Transvaal. As apartheid is dismantled piece by piece in the so-called new South Africa, the newness and the bitterness and the violence left in apartheid's place stand out that much more starkly. No one sees these residues of change or tries to ignore them the way these children do. The adult faces you'll see, they display that the implacable resignation of the African. It's the children who laugh and cry and play. But then you see a 40-year-old look in a 7-year-old's eyes. In 7 Up South Africa, I think you'll see it all the time.
Problems lots and lots of times.
Like what?
Like killing each other. You'll be a gang. I mean this. You're a gang. You're the boss. Get angry with this guy. Suddenly, you shoot him. It's a heavy gun. You know what? Real big gun that's real heavy. You can just look at it and say, "Oh, no, that gun's not heavy." And when you carry it, you'll hear how heavy it is. I carried a big gun. I carried an AK-47.
In this film, we meet 7-year-old children living in South Africa. In many ways, they're just like children anywhere, but they have been born into a time of violent conflict. This is Andiswa, finishing off her breakfast before she goes to school. Her best friend is Leander. Andiswa and Leander both live in this hostel in a township outside Cape Town. Their families each live in one small room off this shared living space. This film shows you South Africa today through the eyes of its 7-year-olds. Their lives and views are both reflections of the past and indicators for the future. The children you will meet come from all over the country. Every 7 years we'll meet them again and we'll see how they've got on. Now, like Andiswa, they are all 7, but they have little else in common. This is Artie's favorite song. Artie is the baby of her family and the apple of her father's eye. At home, her constant companion is Chantel, the maid's daughter.
My mother works with my father. She doesn't hit me, she doesn't shout me. She buys me everything else. They spoil me too much.
So do you think you're spoiled?
Yes. My father, he likes me. He goes and gets me toys. He's not strict. Sometimes they buy me all the toys. He takes me for lunch.
And what do you do when you get home?
I play. I go running.
Do you run by yourself?
No. I ran with the maid's daughter.
With Chantel?
Yes.
And where do you run to?
Just around the house.
This is Linda. He lives with a great aunt here in rural Transkei. His parents live over 600 miles away in Cape Town. Linda hasn't seen his mother for over a year. This is Lunga's street in a township near Durban. Lunga lives with his mother and uncles in a small house next to the cemetery. He goes to a mixed-race government school in a white Durban suburb. Lunga, who's buried here?
My granny.
Did you know your granny?
Yeah, I knew him.
Tell us about her.
Whenever I did something to my other sister, and then I went to my granny's room, she would catch me with a walking stick on my neck and pull me, try to smack me. And every time she tries to catch me, I run away into my mommy's room and close the door so they don't get me.
Lunga, what do you think happens to people when they die?
My granny was sick when she died. Died at hospital.
But now, what do you think has happened to her?
There's nothing under here.
So where's your gran?
My grannies became bones.
Show us where your house is.
My house is down there. You see where those holes are? You go up and you get out of there. That's where my house is.
Do you worry about ghosts?
No, not at all.
Linda did not go to Cape Town with his parents because they wanted him to attend school here in rural Transkei. As they don't have a uniform, everyone dresses up in their best clothes to go to school. Artie's school is in the old Indian trading district of Durban. The school has been Indian for generations. In the past, this meant that only Indian children could come here, but now the school is allowed to accept any child, whether they be black, white, Indian, or what is known in South Africa as coloured. Claudia and Shane would have been classified as coloured. This mixed-race community was labelled by apartheid as a racial group and was forced to occupy a separate place in society. Claudia and Shane go to school in a coloured area of Johannesburg. Would you like to go to a school with white children?
I don't know. No. No.
Why not?
Because I like it the way it is. I don't want to go where... Maybe they speak another language and you ask them for the rubber, they won't know.
Shane, what is the way that it is?
I like it the way that it is. Your friends speak the same language as you do. Your madam speaks the same language. Everybody speaks the same. And Afrikaans, they speak the same language. They understand what they say when they speak Afrikaans. But we don't.
Bizet is Afrikaans. Like well over half of white South Africans, Afrikaans is her first language. Andiswa counts herself lucky. It is very difficult for hostile children to get a place in any township school, and this is a particularly nice one. This is Willem. He and his brother and sister have the run of their father's farm here in the northern Transvaal.
Jy vriende wat op die plaas bly.
Ja,
Wie's hulle?
it's Makanda, Tuinboy, en Willie.
En wat maak julle saam?
Nee, Willie kom vra net elke dag of hy nie sleutel as ek wakker is. Dan sê ek van goed, hier is die sleutel en dan gaan hy maar weg. Makanda, ons doen baie goed saam.
Soos vertel bietjie soos wat.
Ons partykeer, een keer het ons saam die bossies uitgetrek in die tuin. Ons het saam rugby gespeel. En my sussie loop altyd saam met my trek. En as sy werk, loop sy soms op fiets. Ry sy op my fiets daar so langs hom.
En hoekom hou jy van hom? Hoekom hou jy van hom?
Want hy's 'n baie goeie boy. Hy drink nie.
France lives in Alexandra Township on the edge of Johannesburg.
Wena o ka batla go dula le magogo ka baka lang
Ke tlo ba rich. Only poor o wa sokola. O kopa dilo ko ntlong, ke tlo kopa sukiri. O tabona, nna ke batla go dula le magogo. Go monate.
Kashan also lives in Johannesburg. She goes to a private progressive school with her friend Nabunya, who lives nearby. Nabunya is unusual in South Africa. Her mother is black and her father is white. And when you go home, what do?
Nothing. It's boring at home. My two brothers and my sister have pains in the necks.
Why?
Cause they expect me to clean the whole house.
Do you have to do errands like that? Do you have to do cleaning and that sort of thing?
Yeah, because I come from Swaziland, and in Swaziland, every little girl my age has to clean.
So what are the things that you have to do?
Have to sweep the floor, everything.
When I come home, I play TV games. I sometimes go to extra stuff like swimming and tennis. Most of the time I'm at swimming and tennis.
And she always comes home and have some milkshake.
Yeah, chocolate milkshake.
Yeah.
Because I always have to leave. I always have to go to swimming. After that milkshake, I have to pack my bag. I have to go to swimming. I have to go to tennis. Then I have to come back. I have to do my homework.
So much things.
This is Tembisile. She lives alone with her grandmother in a squatter camp in Soweto outside Johannesburg. Last year, this area was covered with shacks, but most people fled during a bloody war for control of the camp between Nkatha and ANC supporters. Tembisile and her grandmother live in one of the few remaining shacks.
awukuthanda la uhlala khona la awukuthandi wawungakuthandi ukuzondelayo ufuna ukuhlala phi wena
Trophy.
ufuna uhlala etropeni ufuna uhlala noba netropeni
Mama.
mama wakho uhlala etropeni mama wakho akuhlalela wenzani etropeni mama wakho
Asebenza.
sebenza kuphi
Ramfantini.
Umona nini mama wakho
Mbona ngamasonto. Sonto.
nomasonto and ubaba
Baba yena ngikamboni. Yung ba naman si tropinong nan?
Oh.
This is Bonita, whose father is a Zulu chief in Natal.
Manje laphaya. Kwenzakalani?
Ubaba,
Uphi ubaba?
nanku.
Ubaba uxokeni?
Wayeqha izinto zokuvunula.
Oh. Wani loyo?
Yimina,
Nini?
ngisemncane.
Ukuphi?
Wangihleli etafuleni.
Hawu. Shu. Kwenzakalani la?
Ubaba,
Ibekwenzakalani?
babehamba beyokosini.
Yini lenzeni waziphethe lezi?
Ifleka,
Yani?
inkatho.
Because Bonita's father is a chief, their home is a meeting place for elders in the area. Tini is a rugby fanatic and is the smallest player in the under-9 school team. He goes to the same Afrikaans school as Lizette.
Wat is julle gunsteling dinge in die wêreld?
Rag op. Dat is zo mooi. Ik heb van de boek afgedragen, joh. Ik weet het niet. Oei, gaat het weer.
Julle gunsteling dinge?
Wil altijd verhouden met haar. Shoe.
Tini and Lizette have been going steady since nursery school.
Wat beteken 'n keis?
Shoe. Vra vir hom, hy sal meer weet.
Hoekom het julle mekaar gekies?
Omdat sy mooi is. Dit is hier 'n lekker tydklap. En was dit? Dan gee jy 'n tydklap op jou oor. Ah, nee.
Hoekom het jy vir Tini gekies?
Vra daar aan. Ja. Ja, partykeer as ek ons val en jy hardloop van my weg, moet ek julle eers vang.
Gaan julle eendag met mekaar trou?
Ja. Ja.
You have a girlfriend. Tell us about your girlfriend.
Don't be shy,
Don't be shy.
They're not
What's
going
her
to eat
name?
you up.
What's your name?
Shit.
Who?
Fiona.
Who?
Fiona.
Where does she stay?
I don't know. If you have a girlfriend, you
Where
must
is
know where
Sheila?
your girlfriend stays.
Where is Sheila?
Hmm?
Where is she?
Jesus, he does. No. In Madam Issue's class. Yeah. That's Fiona.
Tell me about her.
Her name was Kim. I told you about her last time. I had 2 girlfriends. Kim and Lauren. Now I got 1.
What happened to Lauren?
She went to boarding school on the holidays.
And what do you and Kim do together?
Spend a lot of time.
Do you have boyfriends?
No.
Why not?
Of course. Oh yeah, I know what boyfriends are. The boys and then friends. Yeah. I had one. I thought you meant. Yes, I know.
What?
Like you hang around with them all the time, go parties with them. No, I don't do that.
Why not?
I'm too young. When I'm about 14, 15, 20. No, I'm first married. Then, because I'll get AIDS. I think that. My mother did that.
What?
She first got married.
Do you want to get married when you grow up? Why?
Because I'm hot. You don't have to get married if you don't want to get married, Shane. It's up to you. It's not up to your mother. If you meet a girl and you like her, and you want to marry her, get married. If you don't want to, don't.
And then yourself?
Don't force yourself.
And yourself, do you want to get married?
No.
Why do you want to get married?
No.
I'm a great musician. All of you will say that. And then the boys say their part and the girls say their part, right? I'm a great musician. What can you play? The piano.
South Africa's school system divided children up according to their official race. Now policy is changing and government schools are becoming mixed, but for the most part, separateness is still the norm. White private schools have welcomed black children for many years, but the fees are totally out of reach for most black parents. This is Katlego. He lives in Soweto and attends this exclusive boys' school in Johannesburg.
I have no friends. If I were a bird, I'd have lots. I'd fly away up in the sky and my friends would fly with me. I have no friends. If I were a fish, I'd swim all day in a pool and my friends would swim with me. If only I could fly without wings, and if I could swim without needing to breathe, I'd have lots and lots and lots of friends because they'd all play with me. You can have friends whenever you want by being just what you are. Don't bother about the brother who bugs you. Just love him and he'll love you too. The end.
This is a typical township school. This is Tsepo. He lives in Soweto and takes his studies very seriously.
Ko sekolong se tsholo ke na thume ka re thufela ga bana fitla re bale o ga ba sa re etsa ba re file mosebetsi homework re ngola yona homework.
Not all children in South Africa go to school. At Andiswa and Leander's hostel near Cape Town, Leander spends the morning playing football in the central courtyard with his other friends. This hostel where he lives is for migrant laborers. Leander is from Transkei and doesn't go to school in the township because he is waiting to move back there. This is an English lesson in Andiswa's classroom. English and Afrikaans are still the only official languages here, although most South Africans have other languages as their mother tongue.
This is
Xhosa.
Hayi bangumXhosa wena. Kuba kuthini?
Ngoba kuthini?
Awuhaleli tu uba ngumlungu. Ngoba
Ngoba noba ndifuna ukwazi ukhuluma.
awufuni ukwazi wena ukhuluma.
Wena Nkosi xa ubuzwa phaa ngumzwa uzawubuthetha into yakho.
Uzobe ethetha ntoni yena? Xa ibuzwa ntoni?
Ukhumza.
Kandichazele kuzobe kusenzeka ntoni kanini?
Xa kuthiwa kathi this is a book, angathi
Athini?
athi this is a book.
Athini?
Athi this is book.
Wena o nagana gore o ka ithuta English. Wa rata go ithuta English. Ke ka baka lang rata go ithuta English.
Go bua monate, batho ba o galla.
What languages do you speak?
City, but I don't really know it very well.
Do you know English better?
Because every time I always speak English, that's why I don't even know my language properly.
How do you feel about that?
All right.
Ek wil nou weet wat is die beste taal om te praat?
Afrikaans.
Stem saam. Hoekom?
Gelukkig verstaan ek daardie taal.
Wa Angela wena ngothi ilimi lolukhuluma yini?
IsiZulu.
Ilimi ucabanga ukuthi abantu bamhlaba wonke bafanele balikhulume yini?
IsiZulu.
Yindla.
La, amaphoti.
Kanjani ngala maphoti?
Kuyaphekwa ngayo noma kupheka inyama noma mhlawumbe kupheka inyama eningi.
Upheka ubani?
Mama nje mhlawumbe bafikile la ekhaya. Mhlawumbe kumsebenzi uzohlatshwa inkomo.
Umsebenzi wabafazi. Yini umsebenzi wabafazi?
Ukulima.
Futhi?
Ukulima ushanele igceke. Upheke. Bongabe unesitolo unye kwesitolo. Bongabe udayisa noma ama-apple noma ubanana. Wonke ama-fruits uhambe uyowadayisa.
Umsebenzi wamadoda wona? Yini?
Bongabe inkosi yasiphatha isizwe bongabe kuyindoda. Noma buya mhlawumbe uyindoda. Omunye afikele emuzi wakhe.
Angibona uyiphatha kanjani? Asibonise.
Ziphathwa kanjena.
And then leya?
Le iphathwa ngesandla esisodwa.
Hayi, siwashaya ke. Siwashaya umuntu ke.
Bongabe mhlawumbe umuntu ekushaya.
Yeah.
Mhlawumbe uthi uyakushaya, mhlawumbe ukushaya lana. Uyibike kanje uzoshaya.
Awu. Ha.
My father and my mother tells me I must go pray every morning so God can look after us nicely.
Show us your favorite again.
Here's the one with the necklace.
With the necklace?
Yes.
Okay.
Because she gives me too much of food, and then she tells my mother in her mind that I mustn't play too much, I must concentrate on my working, and I mustn't play too much, and mustn't, go in the pool often. She tells my mother in her mind that I mustn't go too much.
What sort of religion are you?
No, I'm Jewish. I'm also Jewish.
Okay, and what things do you have to do if you're Jewish?
You have to, every month, is it month or year? Every year, you have to, you have to have supper.
No, wait. I'll tell you because I'm more Jewish than you. She's half Jewish, aren't you?
I'm whole Jewish.
Are you? No, did you turn whole Jewish?
Yes, I'm whole Jewish.
No. There's like all these different holidays. There's Hanukkah,
Yeah.
there's Purim,
Yeah.
and there's like all these different, you know,
and
Moses.
there's all these suppers and all that stuff.
And then sometimes you don't have to go to school because those holidays you don't have to go to school, so we miss school.
All the Jewish people in the school have to go and we have holidays and we eat the special food and
I love matzah.
Yum, yum, yum. I love matzah with butter on.
Yeah.
But all the other foods, chili stuff.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Horse
that's
radish,
my
okay,
tongue.
we've got, I love what's it called? That stuff that looks like cement.
Where Linda lives in the Transkei, the family's wealth is cattle.
Uyafuna ukuluka wena? Yintoni oyaziyo ngokuluka? Kwenziwa ntoni? Xa umuntu useluka, kwenziwa ntoni?
Kuyasilwa.
Kuyasilwa ke? Uthini ke ngoku?
Kubekwa umgidi.
Okay.
Akuqhele ke.
Uxhele ntoni? Inkomo?
Noyibhokhwe.
Okay. Uthini ke ngoku?
Ingaluki ngobe ngikhwele.
Uyayazi uba kwenziwa ntoni xa useluka?
Andikanti xa uyiwe ethondweni.
When Andiswa gets back from school, she and Leander play around the hostel. Leander is set on going back home to the Transkei. We asked him why he wanted to leave.
You know what Miss Leander uthanda udutyula.
Uyadutyula nodutyula?
Yes, miss.
Udutyula abantu abatheni?
Ngenye imini seke sabona umntu odutyulwa apha, miss. Kodwa zange senze nto.
Wayephi?
Kodwa kwafo abanye yebekhutshwa.
Kwakutheka ndibalisele mani kwakutheni?
Kodwa kukho itoyitoyi.
Kwakutoyitoyi?
Yes, miss.
Kwathini kandibalisele mani?
Kwaze kwadutyulwa ke ngokwabantu. Omnye wadutyulwa apha kule ndawo.
Yindawo nale ndawo?
Emqaleni.
Omnye? Kandibalisele kwakutheni?
Omnye wadutyulwa apha kule ndawo.
Bathi abantu badala kwakutheni?
Asazi uba yekutheni.
Inoba yiloo nto limenza angafuni ukuhlala pha. Unyanisile luyani? Wabona ntoni wena?
Mna ndabona umntu ohlatywe esifubeni.
Uhlatyweyo?
Wahlatywe esifubeni.
Kwakutheni?
Andazi noba zikutheni.
Zange ubuze nobuze? Abanye abantwana zange bakuxelela?
Nam kaloku ndizawuhlatywa uba zendibabuzile.
Wayile nto ungayithandi yokuhlala phona.
This is a toy toy. It is the dance of protest of the liberation movement and is often seen as a provocation by the authorities. Even here, in the Transkei, where Linda lives, the toy toy is not uncommon.
mhlawumbi awuba ulubheke elokishini usiye mhlawumbi ngaphandle lobheke elokishini awuba lo kuya kuphi indawo
eKapa
apho kutheni eKapa
kutheni
ukitoyitoyi ayithanda itoyitoyi ayikho pha eKapa akwithanda itoyitoyi wena ngoba itheni
uyatshiza bhuti uyatshiza
oh
amapolisa sonathini ititiye isonathi izabasapha yo
ngiva kanjani xa usenza itoyitoyi ngiyayithanda okanye ngiyayicapukela
ngicapukela le nto uzisuke ndidutyule kodwa ndenza ngani
udutyulwe ngobani
ngamapolisa asilandele emva kwethu
ayadubula amapolisa
imini ngoke icula le ngoma kwazivele ezintathu
isithini loo ngoma le uyicula zathini zenza nto
aqhuba zathi uluna naye kukho iihoke ezimbini naye ngena phakathi wazawo
kwathini
kwadutyula onye adutyula kwadutyula nathi phakathi weehoke akukho sikhunkwane azikho
ungoyiki
ndoyika xa kudlula ibhombo mna ndinapha phakathi
kanti chazela iibhombu zigqitha uphi wena
okanye ndiphakathi ibhombo misithi yayigrumba nedolo
wazibona wazibona zigqithaphi
ecankwam zizidlula ndathi
oh zagqitha wathi waphuma wathini ke
bazotya ihlanza ziza kudubula ehlanzeni bazotya ziza kudubula ehlanzeni.
This is Patrick, who lives a few miles away from Andiswa and Leander. For 5 years now, Patrick has been best friends with Robbie, who lives nearby and goes to the same private school in Cape Town. What do you want to do when you grow up?
Oh, that. I know. Oh, I'm not really so sure, actually. There are a number of things to choose.
Like what?
Fishing, engineer, lawyer.
A soccer player. I knew I would say that. My big mouth. My dad says I should be an advocate. What do you think? It would work.
A beautician? Why do you want to be a beautician?
I don't know. I just like it. Maybe I'll be a singer, a dancer, other things. A doctor. I don't know what I want to be. She's going to be a zookeeper. I don't know. I don't know. Because I love animals. No wonder you've got so much animals. Most of them are mine. The budgie and the one dog and the one cat are mine.
Do you look after them?
Yeah.
Sê vir my, wat gaan jy word as jy groot is?
Soos ek nou dink, ek gaan 'n polisieman word of ek gaan in die bosveld bly.
En as jy nou besluit om in die bosveld te bly, wat gaan jy dan maak as jy daar is?
Ek gaan ouens wat wil kom jag kan by my plaas kom jag en vir 'n
kry mens mos geld. Want hy skiet mos die bok, dan sit sy bok en dan moet hy vir jou geld gee. Want dis jou bokke. En dan gaan ek maak R50 vir 'n rooibok ooi en R100 vir 'n rooibok ram en vir 'n waterbok R500 vir al twee. En vir 'n kudu R800. Vir 'n vlakvark 300. Vir 'n mooi vlakvark. Soos my oom geskiet het. Is net so groot vlakvark. Vlakvarke word nie groot nie. Groot saad ek is net so groot.
Ang tshela motho wena o kgona go ba ene masokhulile hawu angitshele motho udoktor benzani
Bajova bani.
ngojovela
Ngizoba mistress mina.
manje uzobani
Thomas.
ungayifuna ukuba yimistress
Ngizoyiphoyisa. Ngizokudubula kahle.
uzoba yini
Ngizoyiphoyisa.
phela kufanele ukhulume into yokungani
Ngizoba yiphoyisa.
ungafuna ukuba yiphoyisa bayenzani amaphoyisa umsebenzi wamaphoyisa yini
Thatha abantu abangena ey'motweni zabelungu abashaye badumbela babe ney'lone baphuma amagala.
munye umsebenzi wamaphoyisa yini
Omunye ukudubula, omunye ukubhala.
ufuna udubula ufuna udubula abantu kanjani babenzani
Dubula mina. Ngifuna ukudubula.
6 o'clock already, I was just in the middle of a dream.
Lizette's ambition is to sing on television. She has also just started modeling lessons in the local hall.
But I can't be late, 'cause then I guess I just won't get paid. These are the days when you wish your bed was already made. It's just another manic Monday. I wish it was Sunday, 'cause that's my fun day.
Wat doen jy laat julle dans?
Ons loop modelwerk en alles en ons doen ander soorte van die modelverloop. Wat is modelwerk? Jy sal leer by jou suster. En gou ook.
That's my fun day. Just another manic Monday.
This is Owetu's home. Owetu's father is a corporal in the army of one of South Africa's black homelands. Owetu is very house proud.
Yiphi yona nto soke wayithanda sekuyenzeka kuwe into soke yakuvuyisa
Yimina umntwana sekhaya uba wawina competition ekliniki.
xelele yonke into esenzeka i-competition nantoni xelele yonke into esenze ngaloo mini
Competition yabantwana umntana ajongwe oba ulanduzele utya kangaphi ngemini umkhulu kangakanani wasekhaya umntana wawina umncinci ngenxa ela esitya agqithe sitya imingqusho sitya inyama sitya intoni endikhulu wawina waphuma ku-Delta Special lapha ekamereni waphuma ku-Delta Special wafotwa ifoto yakhe ekamereni kamama wagqiba wavezwa etivini kuRadio Transkei nantoni indaba.
You know, I love it when it's Christmas, because Christmas is quiet around here. And so we go around the whole township. My whole friends, the whole gang go around the township. That's what we do. We run around and run around and run around. We go to each friend's house. We ask for something to eat. They came into my home. We gave them ice cream. They said they want some more. We gave them some more. They said they want some more, and then they said, can we have biscuits and juice? We gave them everything they wanted. They asked for this, we gave them this. They asked for that, we gave them that.
If you could wish for anything, what would it be?
Food.
You would wish for food?
And for school things.
And for school things?
And for toys.
But food first?
Yeah.
Now why food first?
So I can eat and get fat. My hands are too thin. See, I can... See, they're too thin.
Would you like to be fat?
Yeah.
Why would you like to be fat?
Because I don't want to be like a stick.
Do you think you look like a stick?
My mother every time tells me I look like a stick. I must eat more food.
And you like eating
But I
food?
don't eat too much food. I eat 1 spoon and finished. 1 teaspoon and I'm finished.
As julle nou groot is en julle moet geld verdien, sal geld vir julle belangrik wees?
Nie vir my baie nie.
Is julle ouers ryk of arm?
Ons is bietjie meer arm. So.
As dit.
My pa se geld amper klaar.
Hoekom is dit so?
Seker. Die werkse stories.
Maar vertel 'n bietjie vir ons.
Hy moet die swartes betaal, partykeer dan kry hy geld, partykeer moet hy van sy eie gebruik.
How does a person get rich?
Like if they live in a poor house, right? And they keep their money and buy. Now the money when they buy, they keep it to get a new house. Then when they get a new house, the other people pay them, then they get rich and richer. Then they can buy their things.
Do you think it's important to be rich?
No,
Why not?
because other people also, they live in poor houses. It's not nice to be rich. Like if you be rich and they be poor, it's not nice.
Robbie, do you think your parents are rich or poor?
Middleish, sort of rich, sort of poor. Mine are rich.
Do you think that most children are like you?
Yes, most children like me, I'm sure. Yeah, because you're the goody.
Umuntu ohluthayo ungathi ngumntwana njani?
Umuntu ophangeleyo nyalo.
Umuntu ophangele? Xa ephangele ke ngoku uba nantoni?
Ngabuya uba neplant.
Uba neplant? Oh. Ukuze uthi hayi laa muntu uyahlutha ngoku, uzobona ntoni phaa kuye?
Simbone shushu.
Tell me, do you think that all people should have the same amount of money?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. Or it's just sort of unfair. Yeah, it's unfair. People have so much money the government doesn't want to give the other people because the government hates blacksmiths.
Okay, tell me, if you've got a lot of money, what are you gonna do with it?
I'll buy me a car. I'll buy me a gun. I'll buy my mother everything, son. I'll buy me shoes. When Mother's Day was over, my madam said, we can have millions and thousands of rands, a million, 100 rand, but you cannot go and buy love at the shop. You can't go and say, look, I want to buy a place, I want to buy love for my mother. You can have millions of rands, but you can't go and buy your mother love. You can't. And then I was sleeping in my sister's room and I came out and there were these policemen all surrounded over the house with guns and everything. So we came out.
What do you feel about the policemen?
Security? I haven't had any burglars. I've had lots. But three. I even had one guy shot in the front of my house. Funeka abanje ambe axoxisenda befuna uyenza athetha ubakathetha ethophe adathethe achaza inyani uba befuna umenza ntoni amthini angayekwa abanje ufakwe ejele ugqathwa makasebenze agqibe ebusuku balale elantuzweni balale ebhedini ezimdaka neengubo ezimdaka balale kuzo bahlazelela ezingubo ezimdaka balale esipringini sebhedi kungabikho sponji.
Ngoba kutheni kufuneka benziwe loo nto?
Then babulale abantu. Yeah, then my mother was on that side, my father was walking on this side of the pavement. My mother came out to shop that man, take my mother's purse. My father take out his gun, he say, bah, that man fly in the wall. Shot him here, he fly right in the wall. My mother's purse go back to her, and my mother just catch it like that.
Did you see that? Were you there?
I was with my father.
Oh, what happened to that man who was shot?
By the gangs, they shot him here in his head. My daddy shot him.
Heb je al geweren gezien?
Ja. Ik heb mijn poos een machinegeweer al gezien. Een machinegeweer?
Hoe kom ik mensen geweren?
Om zichzelf te beschermen. I hate the gun. I like the person, but I hate his job. If he's a policeman. I like him, but I hate his job. That's what I hate.
What do you think about his job?
Just like the play in this video cassette. It's about police. So a kid's uncle says, I don't like this job. Running around the township with a gun in your hand, shooting small, tiny children. No. I think your police force is sick. What? Your police force is sick.
What do you think about the police?
They locked me up in jail.
They locked you up in jail? When would they do that?
They did that last Monday.
They locked you in jail last Monday?
Yeah. They took me out early on Tuesday. They never gave me food to eat.
Was it terrible?
Yeah. Bluffed you?
Really? So you didn't go to jail? I thought you did. This is where Tsepo lives. His house is in the heart of Soweto, in an area known as the Wild West.
What if we get to school?
Nah. Lawyer.
What lawyer?
Yeah.
Sebetsa lawyer ke?
Go kata cinco sepetlele. O tseya a kere la dulaps o kata seo.
In Seko's area of Soweto, each concrete house is designed for 3 families.
Wa rata ho dula mo Soweto?
Mo Soweto?
Ha o rate?
Ha.
Ke ntho o sa ratang ho dula mo Soweto?
Hobaneng ba rata ntho batho ba mo Soweto. Na bontaba batho ba tlala strateng go rasiwa yaanong a ke rate dulang
E sa le wa bona ba lwana?
ya
Ko ka?
ka mo strateng sa go
Na go lwana bo?
mme mo ntate mme o mongwe a nshapa ka kwaikwai.
So ek wil weet wiele townships hier het, lokasies.
Ja, ek dink so. Ja, ek dink ook. Ja. Ons het 2 lokasies. Daar een daarbo, ja, en een onder. Weet ek het. Ja, nou onthou ek dit.
They got houses, straw houses.
Straw houses? Have you ever been there? Would you like to go there? Why?
It's a very nice place, but sometimes they are dangerous.
What's nice about it?
To see all the houses.
And how do you know that it's dangerous?
Because they fight.
And do you know why they fight?
No,
And how do you know that they fight?
because the maid, every time she comes back, she tells us. There's lots of people, but it's small. People are all squashed up. It's like a whole pool squashed up together. And I don't know.
Would you like to live there?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't want to get killed. You know, every weekend, the Zulus march along saying Ngata with these sticks. And they go to people's houses saying, what are you in there? You just have to say you're Ngata or they'll kill you, burn your house down.
Lecho, what do you think the biggest problem is in South Africa?
There's darkness.
There's?
Darkness.
Tell me about darkness.
It's fighting everywhere.
Who is it that's fighting?
Especially the IFP and ANC.
Hostels like this one play a key role in the war that is going on in South Africa. They've become strongholds for the IFP, the Inkatha Freedom Party. This is Alexandra Township, principally ANC supporting. Alexandra has seen some of the worst clashes between township residents and hostel dwellers. People are divided as to who their leader is.
Dr. Buthelezi.
Mangosuthu Buthelezi.
Yena uphathe.
Uphathe ilizwe. Mhlabeni.
Umhlaba.
Starts with a M. Why don't you take this?
Starts with a
M.
with an M,
And the A.
and then A.
M-A.
You tell me.
And then at the nearly end it's a D.
So you mean Mandela?
Wie is die belangrikste mens in Suid-Afrika?
Ek weet dit Clark. Ja.
France in Alexandra.
Komplavat. Namara nakarat.
Ke bo mang batho ba ba tshwenya mo South Africa man?
Timkat. Varetsheng.
Wa etsa?
Va re bolaya re sa phela monate.
Tembisile in Soweto.
Kukubi. Angitshela ukubi kanjani?
Bulalwana.
Wenzani?
Yabulwana.
Abulawana. Bobani?
Bantenkatsa.
Abulala bani?
Bantu.
Hawu, wabonile bona wena? Nini?
Kala babulala balala omunye wakhe phezulu.
Angitshele ngokuthi wena ucabanga ukuthi umuntu wabalulekile la eSouth Africa bani?
Balulekile. Bengo.
Umuntu omkhulu khulu khulu ucabanga ukuthi umkhulu la eSouth Africa bani?
Akekho.
Akekho? Ubani ucabanga ukuthi i-leader yala eSouth Africa?
Ileda la eSouth Africa.
I-leader yakhona yibani? Ubani?
Ayikho la. Hayi bongani.
I mean, if you imagine your life when you grow up, what would it be like?
Maybe in town.
In town?
Oh, I'll find another township. See? But not a black one. You see, if you're black and you were married to a white person, you can't. You let her. You ask her where she wants to live.
Why?
Because she's a white. She'd like to live with white people, you see? That's what I mean.
But why doesn't she do what you want to do?
If I did that, I would want to go to a black township. But she wouldn't understand the language I speak when I'm at home. That's why.
So do you think that...
I think she would be the one who tells me where she wants to go, because I know English. That's why.
So do you think you'll end up marrying a white person?
Maybe.
Would you like that?
Oh, I love it.
Okay, ons was nou by townships en lokasies geweest. Vertel 'n bietjie vir ons, wat het julle daar gesien en gedoen?
Ag ja, ek het veel gesien.
Het veel genoeg gezien.
Maar wat gebeur daar?
Ek amper net soos die All Blacks.
Wat sou jy sê as jy swart kinders in jou rugbyspan gehad het?
Ja, ek sou hulle nie laat soms.
My ma wil nie as ek met langs 'n swarte seentjie of dogtertjie sit nie.
Hoekom nie?
Nee, hulle hou nie niks aan swartes nie.
En jy? Hoekom hou jy nie van swartes nie?
Hulle is net nie vir my reg nie.
Maar wat doen hulle wat nie reg is nie?
Ek weet nie. Net 'n bietjie
Ek dink hulle slap mekaar soos die ANC.
Dit is wel die antwoord wat ek gesoek het.
Wie is die ANC?
Sê, ek weet, Mandela en sy skerminkels. Dis my pa altyd sê.
Wat is 'n skerminkel?
Die me.
Sjoe.
En ons laat nie daar die Mandela vry verlaat het nie.
Wat van Willy Mandela? Sjoe, sy is die pyn.
Why do you think people fight in this country?
I don't know. They fight for their rights, I think. Yeah.
And what do you think they're fighting about?
I don't know.
And what do you think we can do to stop it?
I think we'll have to pray and ask God.
Do you believe in God?
Yeah? Do you?
The Dutch Reformed Church plays an important part in Willem's life. He goes to church every Sunday in the nearest town.
Sê vir my, wie is God?
Hy is die Here. Hy is ons Vader.
En wat doen hy?
Hy sorg vir ons.
Hoe sorg hy vir ons?
Om vir ons kos en klere te gee.
Is jy bang vir hom?
Nee,
Hoekom?
want hy maak nie lelik met my nie.
Is jy 'n goeie seun?
Ja,
Wat moet met mense gebeur wat slegte dinge doen?
hulle moet ophou daarmee en hulle moet vir die Here jammer sê.
The Zionist Christian Church has the largest congregation in South Africa. France is a Zionist.
Batho ba dipelo tse mpe o tshwanetse go etsagaleng ka bona.
Ba ba bolai.
Ba bolaya ke mang?
Ke Modimo or ke rona. Ke rata gore mo lefatsheng ka ba Russia re phele gantle re phele monate. Batho ba laba ka ntsha dipelo tsa ba Satan ko Modimo tlo ba le thabo ba mangole a thabe Dimo rona re phele monate Dimo nyaka gore re phele monate.
Dan steel hulle al hulle goeder, dan hulle weer arm. En wat het hulle toe gedoen?
Hulle het die koring in die skeure van die rotse gaan wegsteek.
Dis reg. Hulle het in die skeure van die rotse gaan wegsteek aan hulle dagplan en in die berge het hulle dale gemaak.
Wana nagana gore motho o important mo South Africa ke mang?
Ke Modimo.
Ke Modimo.
Le Magoma.
Wie is die belangrikste mens in Suid-Afrika?
Die Here,
Hoekom?
want hy sorg vir ons.
Wat is die grootste probleem in Suid-Afrika?
Dat die swartes ons land wil inneem.
Hoekom is dit so 'n probleem?
Want hulle sê dis hulle land.
En dink jy hulle is verkeerd?
Ja,
Dink jy dis ons land?
ja,
Hoekom?
want hulle het nie so gebly nie. Hulle het miskien te 50.000 jaar terug hier gebly. Maar nie nou meer nie.
En wanneer het ons hier aangekom?
Ek kan nie weet nie.
differences between black people and white people?
They haven't got the same skin. And I think that's all I could say.
The black people fight, the Zulus fight. Are you joking, man? And the white people don't. They only break into people's houses. The Zulu people don't always fight. I've been to Zululand, man. I've been to Kruger Park. Abelungu. Abantu abamnyama. Angithi nawe uyazi ukuthi abelungu kusabantu. Manje uthi manje ukuthi kushintshele ngokuthi bona bakhuluma isingisi thina sikhuluma isiZulu kodwa umlungu kusewumuntu nama-Indian sewumuntu. Abantu abamnyama bahle, belungu bahle.
Bahle kanjani?
Kahle.
Phela ufanele ungitshele ukuthi kanjani.
Bahle.
Ek dink die swartes loop weer met AK-47 rond.
Wat is AK-47?
Gewere.
En wat maak 'n mens daarmee?
Geskiet ook.
There's no black people. We are all human beings.
But you said they're not black people.
There's no black.
We have white people.
Yes, we are all human beings.
What do you think you are?
There's no black and white. And
What do you think you are?
Human beings.
They brown.
Do you see anyone black as that camera over there? Can you see someone white as me? You see people brown.
It's just that they brown.
No, they're not brown. They're like other people. It's just the skin.
The color.
It's just the skin is not very, very the same.
Wena o ka ya ko sekolong o nyaka kena sekolo le bana ba mago ka baka la eng?
Or ke tlo ga ke tlo tseba trees. Le dilo ko sekolong ga ba nruta.
Bangaba kuthiwa iya esikolweni esinabantwana abangabelungu ngathini.
Dingai.
Uyayithanda loo nto leyo? Landa, uyayithanda xa kuthiwa uyanenza kusesikolweni sabantwana babelungu?
Hayi no.
Ngoba
Ngoba ndibathanda abelungu.
awubathanda?
Hayi le nto sengayithandiyo baxabana.
Bayaxabana benza ntoni?
Okanye bayaxabana nathi singabenzanga. There used to be white kids only last year.
But I saw there were lots of black kids in your school.
This year they came. So that now there's lots. There's only whites, even the Indians. Uzawuthini xa ufundiswa ebelungwini uzawufika uthini wena? Uzawufika ndithi kaloku sirongo esi sikolo sabelungu.
Kuthini ke? Buze kaloku uzawuthi.
Phinde ndihambe ndiye kwesinye isikolo.
But why were you scared? What did you think was going to happen?
I thought everybody's gonna laugh at me and whack. I thought I was gonna be the only black kid in that classroom, but that didn't happen.
And you were scared of being one black kid amongst white
Oh,
kids?
whites. Yeah, that's what I was sure of.
Is daar swart kinders in julle skool al?
Nee,
Hulle kom 1 Augustus na skool in. Maar voor skool, in skooltyd tot eerste pauze, so swart is, na eerste pauze is daar niks. Hoekom? Want ons gaan hulle doodslaan. Hoekom? So mag jy na skool wees. Hoekom? Want ons hou nie van hulle nie. So mag jy na skool kom, die hulle is nie wit mense nie. Hulle praat dan swarte taal, hoe kan ons verstaan?
Maar as hulle dan Afrikaans praat?
En dan gaan hulle ook nie. Hulle stink.
En wat nog?
Ek weet nie. Hulle het nie die regte skoolklere nie.
What's it like at school?
Kef.
Having black people and white people together at
Cool.
school?
Kef. Funny if they're nice. Yeah, like to bang. Yeah, that's cool. Kef. Okay, 5.
And how do you find the white kids?
Found them.
No, what do you think about the white kids?
I liked when I first got there. I hated them, but
And now?
now I like them.
You like them?
Yeah,
Why?
they're nice.
Will all South Africa's children get to like each other when they know one another better? Or will the people remain divided? In 7 years, when these children are all 14, we will be returning to find out what life is like for them in the new South Africa.
Well, there was an occasion that I was asked to kill somebody, but I took it quite jokingly at first.
Share the experiences and stories of these modern Sam Spades next week on Human Edge.
Stay tuned for Imprint, TVO's acclaimed literary series with host Guy Lawson. Pirates are coming to TVO.
Blackbeard, be merciful. Does the devil pray?
We'll shiver your timbers this fall with a spectacular history of piracy on the high seas. You'll visit exotic locations around the world and meet Captain Kidd, Henry Morgan, Anne Bonny, and Sir Francis Drake. Pirates set sail Mondays at 7 o'clock on TVO.
Alfred Nobel, scientist, writer, inventor, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and the inventor of dynamite. From his huge fortune, he bequeathed the funds for 5 prizes in physics, chemistry, physiology or medicine, literature, and peace.
Mondays at 8, Vista introduces you to some of the world's greatest Nobel Prize winners. Join us Mondays at 8 on TVO's Vista for the Nobel Century.
Well, that settles it.
The buds are back. It's the Darling Buds of May with a brand new bunch of shows. With winter coming, you'll find the Darling Buds of May a perfect tonic. Wednesdays at 9 on TVO.
He's just a great big baby. Oh, it's more like Gary Cooper.
Thursdays at 9 on TVO, tune in for the acclaimed British television classic, I, Claudius. This ambitious 13-part series tells the story of murder and corruption among the rulers of Rome and stars Derek Jacobi in the title role. Don't miss I, Claudius, Thursdays at 9 on TVO. Windsor's location and the presence of many natural resources sparked the industrial growth of the area. Here, two cities, two countries stand face to face: Windsor, Canada, and Detroit, USA. Windsor displays its Canadian colors with confident pride, answering a powerful American influence. Frederick Taylor documented the lives of Canadian workers, including those in Windsor's auto plants. Windsor is constantly rediscovering itself through the eyes of the artists who live in the region. The gallery is a window on Canadian culture, celebrating diversity of artistic activity from all of Canada's regions. Through this self-portrait by Cavan Atkins, or from a woman's point of view in these powerful portraits by Prudence Heward. Responding to the awesome forces of nature, Patterson Ewan chiseled and painted this huge wave. Could there be a better way of discovering Canadian art than by actually entering into the picture? Children's programs encourage imaginative connections with the world of art. Day or night, the Art Gallery of Windsor preserves and nurtures Canada's artistic visions of yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Fridays this fall, TVO explores the world of aviation oddities, aircraft and flying machines whose unusual designs hold remarkable stories. Be sure to see Strange Planes, a look at the oddities in aviation history, Fridays at 8 on TVO.
I'm Elwee Yost, and you know, a lot of people must envy me. As host of Saturday Night of the Movies through these past 20 years, I've been traveling to Hollywood, meeting some of the greatest stars, directors, and craftspeople, and learning about the wonderful world of movies. Now, for the first time, you can tour Hollywood with me as your guide. TV Ontario is offering a deluxe 7-day trip, January 29th to February 5th, 1994, to Hollywood. We'll fly Air Canada non-stop to Los Angeles, and for 1 week, journey through the exciting world of movie making. We'll visit some of the great studios, Warner Brothers, Paramount, and Universal, to see where some of your favorite movies were made. Attend special receptions and dinners. Tour the famous sites of Hollywood with film experts and historians as your guides, and be treated to a few surprise guests. Join me in Hollywood this winter and see the stars.
Throughout October, Film International pays tribute to the late J. Scott, featuring some of his favorite films from past seasons. Be sure to watch Film International, Fridays at 10 on TVO.
This is TVO, broadcasting on La Chaîne.
Maybe you dreamt something.
Yeah.
What did you dream?
I don't believe in dreams. That Freud stuff's a lot of hooey.
Oh, you are a fine one to talk. You got amnesia and you got a guilt complex. And you don't know if you are coming or going from someplace. But Freud is hooey. This you know. Wise guy.
Hi, I'm Guy Lawson. Welcome to Imprint. Over the years, Imprint has acquired something of a reputation for using the F word. Tonight, we're going to go one better. A whole panel devoted to the F word. Freud. In 1939, the year of his death, Freud was, in W.H. Auden's words, to us, no more a person, but a whole climate of opinion. Today, many of Freud's theories are widely known. Id, ego, superego, the Oedipus complex, the death instinct. But other theories, childhood sexual abuse, for example, being nothing more than fantasy, have been questioned in recent years. Tonight, we'll be reappraising Freud and exploring the effect his work has on our artistic and literary imaginations. Also tonight, we have an interview with acclaimed Cree playwright Thompson Highway. But first, I'll be talking to Nick Bantock, author of the best-selling Griffin and Sabine books, about the Golden Mean. It's the final installment in his trilogy. Griffin and Sabine is a mystery romance told through ornate letters and postcards. The reader actually opens the letters and paws the personal correspondence. It's a voyeur's pleasure, usually reserved for those committing a federal offense. Now, here's Nick Bantock.
Sabine, in the post that followed your reassuring letter came another unreassuring card from Frulati. Unlike the first obsequious missive, this one had an undertone of threat. He wants our correspondence. What a fucking nerve. Who does he think he is? The science police? He may call himself a scientific journalist, but I think he's a freak hunter. You and I, my love, are the freaks.
2 years ago, Griffin and Sabine became one of the publishing success stories of the decade. That volume and its successor, Sabine's Notebook, tell the story of an extraordinary correspondence between two artists, one in London, England, the other in the South Pacific Island, on a South Pacific island. The tale starts with Sabine's revelation that she's been able to see Griffin's drawings as he's creating them, even though they've never met. By the end of the first 2 volumes, we start to doubt whether Sabine actually exists, whether she's just a figment of Griffin's imagination, his shadow. With 1 million copies in print and 6 months on the New York Times bestseller list, Griffin and Sabine is a certified phenomenon. But until tonight, an unresolved mystery. Now, here in my hot little hands, is the conclusion of the trilogy, The Golden Mean. Author and illustrator Nick Bantock joins me now to discuss Griffin and Sabine and his other new book, The Egyptian Jukebox. Welcome to Imprint.
Hi.
Start with a book as an object. One of the things that we learn as children is to linger over books, to feel them and to delight in the images. And that's a very strong element of the pleasure we take in Griffin and Sabine. Would you say that that's part of the pleasure, the relearning, tactile relationship?
We went out of our way to make the book very physically appealing, that when you pick it up, you hold it, you turn the pages, you get a degree of sensual comfort from it. Also, the way in which we try to balance words and pictures equally, so that the way you approach the book is different to normal. You don't simply look at it as a series of images or just words with pictures as illustrative fill-ins. This book functions in a slightly different way.
Yeah, you have a background writing children's books, pop-up books. If I can just maybe flash this one, you can get an idea what they're like. What's this is obviously a child's conception of a book, but this has a pop-up aspect to it as well, the way you go inside the book.
Well, yeah, I'm always sort of nervous of the word pop-up related to it, because people start to think of simplicity and simplistic. The fact that it has a movable part in the form of an envelope was, I designed it for the very specific purpose, not of teasing, as one would do in the pop-up book, but as a way of actually becoming further involved. I mean, after watching someone open a letter and the sense of excitement and surprise, the whole notion that you could give that to every single reader seemed fundamentally important, that if the letter had just been flat on the page, it would be a very different experience to the experience of unfolding it.
That's a voyeuristic pleasure.
Yes, very definitely.
Where do you think that impulse
with permission.
comes from? Well, yeah, permission, right. Where do you think that impulse comes from, though, that sort of secretive desire?
I mean, all of us must have at one time or another been walking down the street and intentionally or accidentally seen into someone else's window and had a glimpse of something that in some way titillated us. I mean, that form of voyeurism is very deeply buried. The desire to actually see how someone else behaves when they don't know they're being observed. I mean, it's one thing if you go out of your way to consistently do it, and quite another if you simply have it happen to you occasionally and acknowledge the effect that it has on you.
But yeah, I was wondering about that. That's part of the voyeuristic pleasure we take is the fact that we think that we're getting an sort of unfiltered view of the person.
Yes.
But in fact, Griffin and Sabine, I think both in this, construct characters for themselves for the other person. So
yes.
And they slowly reveal their own characters. So there's kind of a theater within the theater, if you know what I mean. We're not really getting an unvarnished view of them, are we?
Oh, no, we're not. And in fact, we get challenged even further, because in the third book, you have a third character appear who wishes to see their correspondence.
Frolati, the evil, insidious Frolati.
And we hate him for it. And yet all he's doing is exactly the same thing that we're doing.
Or you're doing.
Or I'm doing, because I am creating Griffin, who creates, and so we go on.
Yeah, well, Frolati, he arrives on the island where Sabine lives and demands that she hand over the correspondence.
To which both she and Griffin are horrified.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of, there's one of the aspects which is interesting is the forgery within a forgery within a forgery, the whole idea of whether this thing even exists, whether these people are even there, and who's lying here.
Yes, I mean, in many ways, I, as a person who produced it, am the ultimate liar, and the better a liar I am, the more convincing it is.
Yeah.
So if Griffin is actually making all this up, and then, because if I could make it up, then Griffin could make it up. He could be forging everything. So for most of the time, and possibly right through to the end, we never really know whether she exists, or quite the possibility is that she exists but he doesn't, that she has actually invented and made him up from scratch.
Well, yeah, quite. But Griffin writes to, this is about Jungian, the Jungian concepts, it's replete with references to Jung and his sorts of concepts, the archetypes and things. And at one stage, Griffin actually writes to Sabine, he says, the major theme of their relationship, this is in the third volume, the final volume, that the major theme of their relationship is his search for harmony and balance, to find his equal opposite. Can you read this series, Griffin and Sabine, as a kind of a personal, or not a personal, but as a therapy session?
Well, I suppose you could in one way. If you're going to go in that direction, I prefer it was a little more like the notion of the hero's journey. Once you start getting therapy into it, then you start getting dogma and a form of preaching, which I'm against. I'd much rather the idea of seeing it as a person's individual search, the attempt to find the hidden opposite within themselves, their own dark side of the moon revealed, any way you care to look at it. But it's more of an individual search.
Well, this is again, an important aspect of the book, creation of a personal mythology. The book has a lot of references to Yeats and to places and people in your own life. And it's like you're almost creating a personal mythology for yourself, but yet trying to share that with us.
Well, the way I'm beginning to interpret myself differently. I used to think of myself as like one person, the I, who occasionally behaved slightly differently to the way I would expect. Now I see myself as made up of a whole different series of characters. It's almost like there's a carousel filled with characters, and the carousel clicks round and they take it in turns to be in the spotlight. And I would say in the case of Griffin and Sabine, they are both characters on my carousel, but there are also many, many, many other characters who are also there. And all I did was stop the carousel and freeze frame and allow them to speak for an extended period of time. But they're speaking in many ways from opposite places.
Yeah, there's almost a jokey aspect to some of your work. The levels of seriousness. This in your book, The Egyptian Jukebox, is like what is it described as a crossword conundrum, visual crossword thing. Yeah. In Griffin and Sabine, sometimes you get the sense that you're pulling at our legs. A lot you get it. How seriously should we take this? I mean, we've talked about Jung and we've talked about personal mythologies. I mean, are you taking the piss?
Both ways. No, life is made up of so many different parts, and you can't just separate them out into pigeonholes. There is no reason why wisdom and humor should not sit comfortably next to each other. I'm not saying that I produced in any way a wise book. What I'm saying is that I have attempted to put down everything I know up until this point, and I've tried to put it in a form of a story, something that is going to be entertaining. But in order to be entertaining from my own point of view, and hopefully from others, it requires a philosophical, almost gallows humor to allow that to come out in an honest form, because that's the way I face life. And so there is a lot of truth in it, a lot of seriousnesses, but also there are a whole lot of jokes, and there's a lot of fun as well.
Yeah. One of the, I don't know whether it's a joke or serious, and I guess that depends on the reader's perspective, is this sort of New Age mysticism that permeates the book. There's tarot cards, there's telepathy, the second vision thing.
Well, there's a gentle mocking there, yes. Of course there is.
But this left coast flaky stuff, you can't dismiss it just out of hand like that, because because it forms a spiritual basis for both Griffin and Sabine.
Well, it's the problem of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, isn't it? I mean, when I first started to think about and read about Zen Buddhism, it was very interesting to me. And then there was the whole sort of social, cultural absorption of it, and then the sort of the cheapening of it. And then you have to decide whether you're going to try and hold and maintain the aspects of it that are specifically relevant and important to you, like for example, an expression, the sense within nonsense, or whether you're going to say, whoa, I can't handle this New Age stuff because it's getting real tacky, so I'm just going to jettison the whole thing. That, to me, is completely inappropriate. It's like someone...
Well, there's been examples in your life. I mean,
yeah.
The stamp story. You've created these stamps, and one of them is in the Golden Mean. Perhaps you can tell the story.
Well, it's not one of those, but there's the story that is really the one that's got the best synchronicity story. There's one from the back of Sabine's notebook, which shows a French stamp, And Griffin was supposedly sending that from Paris. Well, when I was doing the postcard, I went into the local stamp shop and said, I'd like, from the period that I was working in, I'd like to see the stock book. And I went through it and I picked out a couple of stamps, appropriate stamps, and I stuck them on the card. And about 2 weeks later, I was looking through Scott's stamp catalogue, and I came across this stamp under the French section, and each French stamp is given a title. Like they'd be titled The Sower, for example, but every single stamp has a title. I looked at the title of this particular stamp and did a double take because the title was type Sabine. And so I sort of thought about it a bit. And so I then contacted the French Philatelic Society and said, why? And it shows the head of a woman, a young woman. And they said it comes from a painting by David. And it shows the Sabine woman standing between the two armies with her arms apart, separating them, stopping the Roman army and the Sabine army from coming into conflict. And historically, that's what meant to have happened, that the women stood up in front of the armies and said, no, you don't fight. Well, I said, why did you choose this particular image? And they said, because it is a symbol of unity. Well, if I'd had to choose one word that summed up what I'm getting at in these books, the word is unity.
Well, that's all the time we have, Nick. Thank you for joining me, and good luck with the book. The Golden Mean is published by Raincoast Books, and The Egyptian Jukebox by Viking Penguin. Speaking of correspondence, we often get letters asking us to repeat certain items on the show. One of the most popular profiles we've run in the past is that of Cree playwright Thompson Highway, well known for the Rez Sisters and Dry Lips Ought to Move to Kapuskasing. So here's his interview with Clifton Joseph from April of 1991. Check it out.
The baby is crying out my name, as if I am somehow responsible for it being caught inside that rock. I can't move. My arms, my whole body stuck to this rock. And then this eagle lands beside me, right over there. But this bird has 3 faces, 3 women. And the eagle says to me, the baby is crying. My grandchild is crying to hear the drum again.
Thompson Highway was born in a tent on his father's trapline on a remote island on Maria Lake way up in northern Manitoba. He was the 11th of 12 children and spoke only Cree to the age of 6. After being forced to attend the Roman Catholic boarding school in the city, he studied to become a concert pianist both in London, England, and in London, Ontario. Once graduated from university, however, Thompson Highway elected to work with Native organizations throughout Ontario. At the age of 30, he turned his attention to playwriting, while also nurturing and developing other Native playwrights in his capacity as artistic director of Native Earth Performing Arts. His first big mainstream success and recognition came with the Rez Sisters, garnering a Dora and the Chalmers Award, along with the Governor General's Award nomination. The play is a powerful portrayal of 7 women on a reserve in northern Ontario who put aside their differences to organize a group outing to what they describe as the biggest bingo in the world. He followed up the Rez Sisters with Dry Lips Ought to Move to Kapuskasing, again winning Dora and Chalmers Awards and another Governor General's Award nomination. Numerous other awards have followed.
This year's recipient is a generous, insightful, and imaginative writer-director, Thompson Highway. Yo!
I would like to thank the Toronto Arts Awards Foundation and the City of Toronto and the people of Toronto for giving growing recognition to its Native artists. and for helping us all begin to realize the importance of the spiritual vitality that we as Native Canadians have to contribute to Canadian society as a whole. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thompson Highway spoke to us at the Native Canadian Centre in Toronto.
Welcome to Infant, Thompson. You're writing about Native situations and Native characters, but also you've lived off the reserve, and you say that you're urban by choice, so that there are other concerns, of course, that you might have. How do you act to that question then of placing yourself in who are you writing for, about natives or about the whole society? I'm sure you've been asked that.
I write for everybody. I write first and foremost to have a good time. Second, I think I'm very sure, I don't just think, I'm very conscious of the fact that I write to give as many people as possible one hell of a good time.
Yeah.
And I think that basic principle works. I mean, it's a very simple objective, very honest, clean objective, and it works, you know?
And it works for Dry Lips or the move to Kapuskasing, the flip side of the Red Sisters, focusing on the men of the reserve and their reaction when the women decide to form a hockey team.
Dominic the douche, black lady, Halkett, that terrible dictionary woman, Fluffy scene from Wee Dry Lips, Manic, talking Leonard, Lee Star, Blanca, Danny, Cook, June, Buck, McLeod, Big Bum, Pegamagabo, all 27 of them. Them women from right here on this reserve, a whole batch of them, they up and they said, bullshit, ain't nobody on the face of this earth's gonna tell us women's got no business playing hockey. That's bullshit. That's what they says, bullshit. So, they took matter into their own hands, and holy shit, tomorrow, I almost forgot to tell you that my wife, Veronique St. Pierre, she went and made up her mind she's joining the Wassy Whalerettes. Only the other women wouldn't let her at first on account she never had no babies. Because you see, you gotta be pregnant or have piles and piles of babies to be a Wassy Whalerette. But my wife, she put her foot down, she says, Shawinigan Peterson may be just my adopted daughter, and she may be retired as a doormat, but she's still my baby. That's what she says to him, and she's on, and they're playing hockey, and the Wassy Whalerettes, they're just around and go. Who would have thunk it, huh?
Some have criticized you and said that somehow Thompson Highway is a little bit misogynist.
Misogynistic, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
how did that come about?
Well, I thought about, I don't, like most of the time, quite frankly, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I mean, I just write the stuff,
You don't know what you're doing
It's
at all?
like so much is like instinctual. It comes from the gut. It doesn't come from here. It comes from the gut, the spine, so to speak. But ultimately, I've been thinking a lot about that charge of misogyny. And the reason behind, I think, that the whole misogynistic thing comes out so powerfully in Dry Lips is because ultimately, I mean, the play is multi-layered, and it is about many things that are all ultimately interrelated. But I think to a large extent, the play talks about the origins of misogyny. I think that when people ask me, what's Dry Lips about? To me, Dry Lips is about, in a nutshell, the return of God as a woman. And the reaction, and as an extension of that, and over and above that, the reaction of the male community to that incredible occurrence. And that reaction is of necessity paranoid, one of paranoia and fear, tantamount to the fear of emasculation, having your balls cut off, basically.
Yeah, by a bunch of a women hockey team on the reserve.
And to me, I use the hockey stick as a phallic symbol. And to me, women taking hockey sticks into their hands the world over is tantamount to taking penises into their hands. And the relation and the reaction of the male community to this extraordinary event. And of necessity, their reaction is one of fear and paranoia. And I don't know, quite frankly, misogyny is the hatred of women, right?
Yes,
is that what it means?
the hatred of women.
And ultimately, in the most chauvinistic, and all 7 guys are various layers of chauvinism. Exhibit various, like 7 different, what do you call it, degrees of chauvinism, male chauvinism. And the most extreme one, the stud, Big Joey, basically comes up with a statement whereby he confesses, blurts it out, that he's scared of women. Because he hates them, because at some level or other in his being, he's always been cognizant of the fact that women have always had the power to begin with. Men never had it. And the recognition of God, ultimately, at some layer in his consciousness, the recognition of God as being, of always having been a goddess and not a god.
In Dry Lips, one of the central scenes shows a native woman raped by a crucifix.
Oh, the big one, yes, the one that people always talk about.
And you spent a lot of time in church boarding school also.
Yeah, I was raised as a Roman Catholic. Yes.
what is it? There seems to be a kind of harshness to the church, or a kind of...
Well, there's several
strong
reasons for
interpretation.
that. I think that any religion, whatever it is fine. If you have a religion, do it, and do it beautifully. But I think what's wrong, morally, is when one religion begins to force itself upon another. When one religion begins to force down somebody else's throat to the effect that our religion is the one true religion. It's not right for a Christian father to walk into a medicine man's lodge, a Cree medicine man's lodge, and accuse that man of speaking to the devil. That's dishonesty. And that's what I talk about. And I think that's an historical truth that should be aired and should be spoken about publicly. And that's only one example, one very mild example. Because along with that, because over and above that, we're talking child sexual abuse at the hands of priests, and so on and so forth. And I really don't want to talk very much more about it because I'd scare the hair right off your head if I chose to continue.
You write your plays mostly in your first language, Cree, then translate into English. How complicated is this?
It's pretty tricky. It's a lot of fun ultimately, because the Cree language is so funny, such a humorous language. Because and the reason behind that I perceive is because the trickster is right at the very heart and soul of it. And English is such a serious language by comparison. Of necessity, the way I use English, the way Cree people use English, English becomes a very funny, jovial, good time, party language, you know, and a very passionate language. And so I really appreciate that. When we don't have a Cree word for a non-Cree concept, such as hippopotamus, for instance, we just go right ahead and we use the word hippopotamus in the middle of a Cree sentence. So in this particular case, we don't have a word for puck, because hockey itself, to begin with, is a non-Cree concept. So the word puck just comes in there with all the Cree stuff. So here goes. Big Joey. And there they are, ladies and gentlemen. There they are, the most beautiful, daring, death-defying Indian women in the world, the Wassy Whalerettes. Number 1, Giselle Natterways, captain of the Wassy Whalerettes, facing off with number 9, Flora MacDonald, captain of the Canoe Lake Bravettes, and referee Pierre St. Pierre. The old geezer's been hired as the referee. And referee Pierre St. Pierre drops the puck and takes off like a herd of wild turtles. Hey, it's been number 6, Dwells Manigat talking weight winger for the Wassy Whalerettes team. Let's come out number 13 of the Canoe Lake Bravettes and he puck. It was been the Western Scott Gate. Hey, Gasigo, Chen, how number 6, Dwells Manigat talking weight winger for the Wassy Whalerettes. Jogi Pagamuyo and he puck. It was been Center Lines, but on a puck. Then number 9 here, Kichi is left winger for the Wassy Whalerettes. I got it, nothing, he puck. How number 9 here, Kichi is Iguat Yuti, and blow line. Number 1 is down that way. Captain of the Wassy Whalerettes. I got it, we must come out and he puck. Man, number 9 here, Kichi is much media and he puck. Hooking to a referee, Pierre St. Pierre, Giselle Natterways is a key Hookawati, her own teammate here, Kichi. How number 1 Giselle Natterways, captain of the Wassy Whalerettes, face off. I mean, I thought them. It's number 9, Flora MacDonald, captain of the Canoe Lake Bravettes. They got Flora MacDonald, Sugi Pagamuyo, and he puck. Man, number 9, 37, Big Bum Pegamagabo, defense woman for the Wassy Whalerettes, stops the puck and passes it to number 11, Black Lady Hackett, and also defense woman for the Wassy Whalerettes. But Giselle Natterways, captain of the Wassy Whalerettes, Sugi body check media, her very own teammate, Black Lady Hackett. Whoopsie falls, ladies and gentlemen. Black Lady